これなにこれなにこれなにこれなにこれなにこれなに猫。
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Before we start our presentation today, I'd like to say thank you for all of you for coming into my presentation. In this meeting, we're all gonna talk about determine and formulate problems in qualitative research and paradigm. My name is TSAKILA from Group 2. So we're gonna talk about, this is my partners. There's Laili, me as TSAKILA, Medatus, Intan, and Muhammad Iqbal. So there's 6. We're gonna talk about 6 of this. First one is problem, and 2 found a problem, 3 research title, 4 from formulating a research problem, 5 research variable, and 6 research paradigm. A, problem. Basically, the research was conducted with the aim of obtaining data which, among other things, would be used to solve problems. Therefore, any research that will be carried out must always start from the problem. As said by Emery, that both pure and applied research, everything departs from the problem. Only for applied research, the results can be directly used to make decisions. Problem identification is very important in research before starting, because the problem is the starting point and the basis in a research. Finding problems in research is not an easy job, but after problems can be found, the research process can be carried out immediately. The form of research problems can be grouped as following. The first one is descriptive problem. It's a problem that related to the question of the existence of independent variables, either only on one or more variables. And the second one is comparative problem. It's a research problem that is comparing variables one another. And the last one is associative problem. It's a question research that describes the relationship between 2 variables or more. B, found a problem. In determining the problem to be taken, the first step is to choose a general research topic in various fields. In research, the chosen problem must be formally stated to indicate the need for empirical investigation. In qualitative research, the research problem can be stated in the form of questions, statements, and hypotheses. The problems to be faced can meet several important criteria, such as, first, the problem or problem should consider 2 or more variables, and then stated in the form of a clear and unquestionable statement in accordance with the abilities and wishes of the researcher, can be tested empirically, availability of materials like data on information needed to discuss the research problem. The research problem is important to be researched. The research problem is interesting to study and discuss. See research title. Wilkinson provided useful advice for creating a title. Be brief and avoid wasting words. Eliminate unnecessary words such as an approach to, and study of, and so forth. Use a single title or a double title. And then Requirements for a good research title is informative, do not use sentences that are too long, may use subheadings, efforts are made to avoid the use of words, do not use abbreviations, attracting the interest of researchers, can be implemented by prospective researchers, not exactly the same as other research title that has been published if there is. For research development, it is better to use a more specific title, and when determining the title, it should allow the availability of complete data that can facilitate researchers. D. Formulating a research problem. Research problems must always be related to the specific topic you want to study. A research problem should be formulated using questions that are used to describe the given topic and from which you can then deduce certain hypotheses. E. Research variable. Name variables because they are variations. For example, weight can be said to be variable because the weight of a group of people varies from one person to another. Variables that do not have variation are not said to be variables. In research using a quantitative approach, the research variables need to be defined. The goal is to be clear and there's no doubt, and can clarify the meaning of the variable operationally. There are several types of research variables. The first one is independent variable. This variable is often referred to as stimulus, predictor, and antecedent variables. The independent variable is a variable that affects or is the cause of its change or the emergence of the dependent variable. The second one is dependent variable. This variable is often referred to as output variables, criteria, and consequent. The dependent variable is the variable that is influenced or that becomes the result because of the independent variable. The third one is moderator variable. Moderator variable are variables that affect, strengthen, or weaken the relationship between the independent and dependent variables. The variable is also known as the second independent variable. Example, the relationship between motivation and work productivity will be stronger if the leader's role in creating a work climate is very good, and the relationship will be lower if the leader's role is not good in creating a work climate. Fourth one is intervening variable. Intervening variable are variables that theoretically affect the relationship between independent and dependent variables into an indirect relationship and cannot be observed and measured. This variable is an intermediate. This variable is an intermediate variable that lies between the independent and dependent variables, so that the independent variables doesn't directly affect the change or emergence the dependent variable. And the last one is control variable. It's a variable that is controlled or made constant so that the influence of the independent variable on the dependent is not influenced by external factors that are not examined. And then relationship between variables, there's three of it: symmetrical relationship, reciprocal relationship, and the asymmetrical relationship. First one, symmetrical relationship. Is a variables, there's a relationship between variables, and the type of variable relationship that does not influence each other is called non-causality. And then reciprocal relationship is a relationship between two variables, meaning that one variable can be both a cause and an effect on other variables. So it cannot be determined which variable is the cause of which variable is the result. And then asymmetric relationship is a relationship between variables. One variable affects another variable, but is not reciprocal. F. Research paradigm. Paradigm is a concept, method, and rules that are used as an implementation framework in a research. Research paradigm is a mindset or perspective on the whole process, format, and results of research. There are several types of paradigm. First one is positivism paradigm. In quantitative research, it is believed that the only valid knowledge is science, namely knowledge that begins and is based on experience that is captured through the five senses to be processed by reason. This paradigm view is based on standard laws and procedures. Science is considered to be deductive in nature and based on universal causal laws, going from general and abstract things to concrete and specific ones. And then interpretive paradigm. This paradigm emphasizes that science is not based on standard laws and procedures. Every symptom or event may have a different meaning. Science is inductive, going from the specific one to the general and abstract. Science is ideographic, meaning that science reveals reality through symbols in descriptive form. So that's all the explanation of determine and formulate problems in quantitative research and paradigm. So any questions? A question from Putri. Can be given an example of intervening variables. Okay, another one. From Anissa, one of the conditions for the title of the research is may use subtitles. Can you explain more about this point? Okay. Another questions? Thank you for Putri and Anissa for your questions. Please give me some minutes to find your answers. Thank you. Baik, sekarang saya akan menjawab pertanyaan dari Putri dan Anissa. Untuk pertanyaan Putri, bisakah memberi contoh dari variabel intervening? Sebelumnya saya akan jelaskan pengertian dari variabel intervening itu sendiri, yaitu variabel yang secara teoritis mempengaruhi hubungan antara variabel independen dengan dependen menjadi hubungan yang tidak langsung. Bisa dibilang variabel intervening ini hampir mirip dengan variabel moderator, yaitu variabel yang memperkuat atau memperlemah hubungan antar variabel, tapi bedanya variabel intervening ini variabel yang tidak dapat diukur atau diamati. Variabel intervening ini juga bisa disebut variabel mediasi. yang letaknya itu berada di antara variabel independen dengan dependen, sehingga variabel dependen tidak dapat langsung terpengaruh oleh variabel independen. Jadi kalau dilihat, dibayangkan skemanya itu, variabel intervening itu dipengaruhi oleh variabel independen dan mempengaruhi variabel dependen. Jadi independen dulu, kemudian variabel intervening, kemudian variabel dependen. Contohnya, misalkan dalam bidang pendidikan, terdapat pengaruh jumlah biaya pendidikan yang dikeluarkan oleh orang tua terhadap gaya hidup mahasiswa dan akan berimbas pada IPK mahasiswa tersebut. Nah, di sini jumlah biaya pendidikan, variabel independen, kemudian IPK mahasiswa, variabel dependen, dan variabel interveningnya ada di gaya hidup dari jumlah pendidikan yang dikeluarkan oleh orang tua. Bagaimana Putri? Apa sudah mengerti?
Iya, terima kasih.
Kemudian pertanyaan dari Anissa. Salah satu syarat untuk judul penelitian adalah menggunakan anak judul. Nah, maksud dari anak judul itu seperti apa? Jadi gini, misalnya ya, kemampuan berbahasa anak autis dalam kurung penelitian terhadap anak autis di Pangkal Pinang, tutup kurung. Jadi, penulisan judul pada cover penelitian menggunakan huruf besar, jadi kapital semua, itu untuk judul. Termasuk meskipun kata penghubung itu juga dikapitalkan semua. Nah, untuk subjudul ini atau anak judul, itu bisa diberi kurung, berada di dalam tanda kurung, namun tidak kapital semua, tapi tetap sesuai dengan prosedur penulisan kapital yang benar ya. Bagaimana Anissa, apakah mengerti maksud gambaran saya?
Alhamdulillah, paham. Terima kasih.
Baik, apa ada pertanyaan lagi? Okay, I guess there's no questions anymore. Maybe I should close this presentation. Maybe I should close this meeting. Thank you so much for your support and attendance. Thank you so much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.